Sing from the chamber to the grave. I hear the dying miners say a sound of melody I crave upon my burial day.
The rugged and dramatic landscape of Cornwall is littered with the remains of a bygone era. The once thriving tin mining industry flourished for hundreds of years in this barren area. In 2006, as a testimony of the contribution Cornwall and West Devon made to the Industrial Revolution and its influence on the mining world at large, the area was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In 2016, a decade later, the event was commemorated by a giant mechanical puppet built locally and named the Man Engine.
And sing me sweetly as you travel along, and keep the funeral song. The angels sing where I am gone, and you shall sing below. Then bear me gently to the grave, and as you pass along, remember 'twas my wish to have a pleasant funeral song.
Yes, my lovelies, 'tis 10 years ago that they clever and wise folk over to UNESCO recognised that the Cornish mining industry changed the world forever. And that is why every one of our stacks and ginges, every one of our engine houses and rope walks and viaducts, why every patch of ore dump, and most importantly, the stopes, adits, tunnels, shafts under our feet are all protected at the same status as the Great Wall of China, the pyramids, or the Taj Mahal. Yay! Proper job too. So here we are, not far away from Levant, and many people associate the words man engine with that terrible day in 1919 when 31 men lost their lives.
My granddad, John Tonkin, was a miner at Levant for lots of years. And on the day of the accident, he was on the man engine. The man engine crashed to the bottom of the mine, where he was badly injured with a piece of wood right through him. While he was in pain, obviously, being a Salvation Army man, he was singing "Near My God" to the other injured. But sadly, didn't make it to the top alive. Left children. 31 miners died that day. The funerals are very touching.
We had to think long and hard as to whether we should use the words man engine for our little boy. But we do it with respect, because we think the man engine is an invention that lifted men up and down the shaft and saved them from the terrible toil of 2 hours or more climbing wooden ladders. That was a piece of engineering, ingenuity, enterprise, endeavour, and sheer cussed Cornish stubbornness to get the job done.
The man engine had a series of platforms on it, and it was worked by steam. And they would come in from their tunnel and from their level and stand on the step, and then it would go up a level, and they would step off, and then wait for it to come up again, and then they would gradually step on and off as it worked its way to the top of the shaft.
The mining landscape from 1700 to 1914 would have looked very different from the one we see today. The whole area was scarred by chimneys, engine houses, smelting works, new towns, villages, and railways, all the trappings of the new industrial revolution. Along with the new industry came noise, the sound of the stamps machine, which broke up the rocks to extract the ore. And the beam machines to pump out the water could be heard across the land. Cornwall sits on a bed of granite in which mineral lodes are formed. The best mineral lodes are found at right angles to the Cornish coast. At each fissure was a mine, which was sunk vertically deep into the earth. With the advance of technology, mines were sunk under the seabed and could stretch for at least a mile out to sea. Mining was a dangerous and difficult job. The men excavating away less than 40 feet from the seabed could at any time make one false move, a difference between life and death.
The miner's life was very difficult. He would arrive at the mine early in the morning after walking from his home, which may be several miles away, so getting up very early in the morning, climbing down a series of ladders. The mine was always wet, water constantly dripped into the mine. It was often very hot. The rock at depth retains heat, so temperatures above 30 degrees C were quite common. The miner lit his working place using candles. In the past, candles made of tallow. These burned with a very smoky, spluttery flame, and filled the workings with sort of smoke. If the miner was drilling and blasting the rock, the gunpowder he used also produced a lot of smoke and noxious gases, and this was difficult to ventilate from the mine. So a very difficult atmosphere to work in altogether. But one of the biggest causes of disease for the miner was rock dust. As the miner cut and broke the rock, particularly if he was drilling in the end of the 19th and early 20th century without water to dampen the dust that was generated down, the miner was breathing in fine rock dust. And this soon coated his lungs and created a condition called silicosis. And this damaged the miner's lungs to an extent that his working life was severely shortened.
The small town of St. Just, near Givell, was a hub for the people who worked at the mines along the coast. In the 1850s, it had a population of over 9,000. Today, the town consists of a small-knit community, where tourism has taken the place of mining. The large Wesleyan chapel, known as the Miners' Chapel, is a place where local people congregate regularly. This is where Elvia and her sister Jean were born, in St. Just, and have memories of its mining past.
From this window, I can see my grandmother's grave, and beyond that, the house where she lived with her mining husband, where my mother was born and was married from. Just across there.
Yes, I remember Mum and Daddy talking, well, Mum too, about the stamps in Tregasil Valley.
Oh, all the way down, weren't
Yeah,
they?
17 sets of stamps,
Oh,
pounding away, all the way down, and the noise must have been incredible.
My grandmother, Annie, was a young wife and mother. In her very early 20s, she had a 2-year-old daughter called Eliza and a 6-week-old baby boy called John Henry. And her husband worked at the Willows mine, scraping a living, working underground. And the night before she had a bad dream, the next morning she begged her husband not to go to work. And he said, I have to go, we need the money. She said, but I had a terrible dream. She said, I dreamt that our baby was christened wearing black ribbons. And I don't want you to go to the mine today. But he went. And the disaster happened, 10th of January. And that day she lost her husband, her father, her uncle and her brother. And 19 men and a boy lost their lives that day. They broke into another mine and there was an inrush of water and drowned them. And the boy, her brother, he was 14 and it was his first day working underground. And I just can't imagine what that household must have been like. And that mine is their grave. It would have cost £3,000 to bring those bodies up for burial, and that was considered too much money. And so the mine is their grave. Their bodies are there now. The mining community was a very close-knit one. Their religion played a big part of it. They were all chapel goers and Sunday school and Bible punching. They would do a lot of singing down the mine on the different levels. When they left work, they would be coming up on the man engine or coming up the ladders and they would sing hymn. And then they would be joined by others from different levels as they were going out. It must have been a wonderful sound, all that singing.
The collapse of the World Tin Cartel in 1986 brought about the demise of the industry and led to the closure of the mines. Today, Givor, one of the largest tin mines, has been transformed into a successful museum and heritage centre. At the entrance to Givor stands an impressive statue of a miner. It was modelled on a local man, David Harvey, who worked as a stoper at Givor for 10 years.
We had a little cap light on, and as there's no electricity underground, other than each station you stop at, there was maybe a couple of light bulbs hanging up that gave you a certain amount of light. But after you went past that, there was just no light whatsoever other than your cap light, the little lamp you picked up on the way down just before you went underground. And that was the only light you had until the end of the shift. I can remember trudging along one of the levels, which was running in water, which there was always plenty of water running underground. And there was just deathly silence, other than the splashing of your feet as you walk along. Just walking perhaps 20 minutes, hearing a faint noise in the background, and as we walked further along, the noise was getting louder and louder, and we just came around a corner, and there was a couple of men on rock drills drilling into the face, or the end of this tunnel, just into the solid granite, and the noise was terrific noise, the screaming of the machines, and only these two little lights. And in the fall, I thought these were supermen. In the bowels of the earth, with this noise, just didn't matter. You just can't envisage that when you're on the surface.
Although the mines are closed, St Just carries on its mining traditions. La Frauda is a popular festival which takes place every summer, an arts and music event where families and communities join together in celebration. The man engine is a symbol of the expertise of Cornish mining and will take Cornish Legend worldwide.
Our ambition is to take the man engine everywhere that the Cornish miners went and fly your flag around the entire globe. 75 places in 40 countries across 6 continents where the Cousin Jacks took the Cornish mining industry. Sounds like a good road trip to me.